there is just a framework that I want to share with you that I've called, it's a build framework. And what build framework is all about is actually the practical building of church. Because of course we know that in order to make disciples and to build a church, you require more than just systems and processes. We've spoken at previous leaders meetings about having a great prayer life. We've spoken about the presence of God, having a devotional life with the Lord. So those are all important. You can't build the church without a strong spiritual life. You can't build the church without great community. But what we want to, there's also ministry of the word, right? The preaching and teaching and discussions in groups and that kind of ministry. So tonight, I'm not going to talk about the ministry of the word. I'm going to just focus primarily on the building of the church. Okay, because the more people that we have that can understand how to build church, the stronger, the healthier we will build church. And so building of church is actually a very practical thing, because we can do great ministry, but we need to make sure that people are being discipled. And so this process really is a discipleship process. Bless you. If you want to disciple anybody, then the best way to disciple someone is to give them a job. Give them something to do, because then you can give feedback. Then you can have conversation, right? When you want to disciple someone, you don't send them off to a class somewhere. You actually chat with them. You debrief with them. You say, okay, why didn't you do that? How did you do that? And that begins to teach people through on the job. But obviously, we want classes. We need to teach people information so they can apply it. But the best way to disciple somebody is to give them a job. How did Jesus teach the disciples to believe God for miracles? He said, here, take the fish, take the bread, and hand it to the people. He didn't say, watch me hand out the multitude. He says, you go and do this. He gave them jobs to do. I don't know if you're watching a series called The Chosen. I highly recommend it. It's just a creative look at the life and story of Jesus. So don't freak out if it's not in the Bible, okay? But you just see the practicalities of, hey, you know what? When Jesus moved from place to place, somebody had to pitch the tent. Somebody had to cook the food. Somebody had to help people to get healed, right? It wasn't just this mob swarming Jesus. So jobs help people to grow. And so the practical building of the church is actually a process of discipleship to help people become more like Jesus, and then help those people to teach other people to become more like Jesus. It's a process that's been happening for just under 2,000 years, and it's going to keep on going. And if you want to be really practical about it, you can actually use this process in anything that you want to build. So it's a very easy and helpful process. It's just from experience, from books I've read, and from how we started the church. When we started the church in Sunningdale, we had 60 people. I tell the story all the time. And during worship, we had 50 people, and then we had 60 people when the worship team sat down. We had 4 people in a kids' church class behind the stage. And so that's how we started. And what we did is we didn't just put on massive events. What we did is we try to connect people into a very personal process. And many of those people are still in the church. And the people who haven't been able to connect into much of those processes haven't stuck in the church. And so I always encourage the people that we're training as pastors to say, hey, you can only build with the people that are there. So we just want to make sure that we're building with the people that God is bringing to our church. And so it is a 5-step process. Don't necessarily worry about the order, but all of these things need to be in the order of building church. It's the one thing that Jesus is doing, is building his church. This is not to build a particular name or a particular brand. This is in order to build people. That's our job, is to build our people so that they can become more like Jesus. And so the build framework that I've got is just 5 things. If you're taking notes, here they are. The first one is invite. Okay, invite. The second one is relationship. Relationship is number 2. The third part is actually equipping. Number 3 is equipping, training people, developing people. Okay, so we've got number 1, invite. Number 2, relationship. Number 3, equipping. Number 4 is empower. So once you've trained somebody, you actually got to let them go and do something. Right? The Padawan has to grow up and become a Jedi. Okay, thank you. I prepared all day for that joke. Anyways, number 4 is empower, and number 5 is coaching. But the key thing is it doesn't stop there, and I'll show you why in a moment. Okay, so I'm not going to read any scriptures to you. I'm going to just trust you, that you trust me, that there are things in the Bible that point to this, and even if you don't trust me, that it's going to work anyway because it's been working pretty well since we've done this. So number 1 is invite. Inviting people into a journey with God is important. How many people do you see running to the church, to the altar, say, I want to give my life to Jesus? Like, that doesn't really happen very often. In revival, yes, that has happened. But most people get invited into a relationship with Jesus. What did Jesus do when he built his disciples? He says, come and follow me. Andrew said to his brother Peter, he said, come and see. Right? We got to get invited into a process, invited into a relationship. How do you catch fish? You actually got to cast a net out so that fish get caught in the net, or throw a line out. Fish don't miraculously jump onto your boat and go, I'm here, you can cook me now, right? You actually need to go on a process of invitation. That's even why one of our cultural values in our church is to create an atmosphere of welcome, where it doesn't matter who you are, what's happened in your life, whether you have social anxiety or you're a social butterfly, you are welcome in our church. We want to make every person feel warmly welcomed and invited in. That's why we invite people to church. That's why we send out advertising. That's why we actually have to invite people in and actually look for people. Got to be able to see something in people. So when I'm talking about building a framework, I'm talking about the build framework and building the church. The main way that the church is actually built is through life groups. And can anybody tell me the other one? Just anybody. Like, there's not many people in the room. If you're not paid, then you can answer. Serving. Thank you very much, Mike. So there's 2 areas that the church gets built. It gets built on people getting connected into a life group, into community, or they get connected into a team. In fact, a life group is a team with a slightly different purpose. Yeah. And so we have to build teams. Team building or group building is at the foundation of building the church. And so we want to invite people here so they can get invited into a relationship with Jesus. But after that, how do they get built into the life of the church unless they get invited in? You'll see that most people, when we teach on servanthood, people go, oh man, I think I really should serve. But they'll only serve once you go or someone goes up to them and go, hey, would you like to join my team? Then they go, oh, he taught about it. It's in the Bible. I got a personal invitation. Let me come. Most people only join a group through an invitation. Hey, what are you doing? We got a group, and there's a connection, there's a spark, and so they go, okay, I'm going to trust you. Why? Because people think groups are weird. In groups that I've led, people have told me, it took me so much courage to knock on the door because I love this church so much, I didn't want the group to ruin it for me. Because they've had bad experiences in the past. People don't know if we're slaughtering sheep and lighting candles and chanting in the rooms. Right? They don't know that. So they need a person, a connection. I remember, I'm a pastor now, but I remember when I first got into a life group at View Church, I was terrified to knock on the door. In fact, I almost walked away. And do you know how many people actually have come to our life group in the past and have knocked on somebody else's door who ran a life group from another church, and they went in, they sat down, and they went, wait a minute, we don't recognize anybody here. And they excused themselves and went to the right address. Right? People, it's very intimidating for people. People need an invitation, a personal invitation to step in. And so you need to be able to cast vision. Like, how is it? What is it that they're going to get involved in? It's going to be great fun. Like, nobody wants to get an invitation. Hey, come and join our team. It's really hard work. Actually, it's not very much fun, but it's building the church. Like, nobody wants an invitation like that. What people want is, hey, we've got great relationships. We have fun. We enjoy ourselves. We get to build the house of God. As long as that's an authentic invitation, right? That's what people want to step into. And in fact, there's another type of way that you can invite people into a group or a team or a community is to have an I see in you conversation. I see in you. Hey, what I see in you is this, and gift, and I think that you would have an incredible role on our team. I see in you just someone who's like really good with, you really love coffee, and you seem to know just exactly how you like your coffee. Hey, why don't you just come and join our coffee team? Or you notice somebody on a Sunday, hey, I see that you don't know many people here or whatever, and my name is this, and hey, would you like to come and join an incredible group of people on midweek? Whatever that I see in you conversation goes. Because if you invite people, it's like a funnel. Not everyone you invite will come. But if you stop inviting, nobody will come. Because church, as much as I hate it, is a revolving door where people come and people leave. It's part of life, right? People move, people pass away, people take offense, people have a different season. Things happen, but as long as we're inviting more people than are leaving, the church is growing. So let's be intentional about inviting people in. And for instance, we run something in the church called Growth Track, which has always been designed to help people to get into a team. But those kinds of things only work for people who actually invite people into Growth Track. So the church isn't going to be, okay, cool. Somehow the church has just sucked up 5 people and we're going to disperse them amongst the different. No, we don't do that. We need and help people to be invited into something that's going to impact their lives. It's going to build the church and it's going to make a difference in their lives. And so be invitational. Okay. Once you invite people in, actually got to build relationship with people. Because if you invite people without relationships, it's almost like being cold called. Hi there, I would like to invite you into this amazing deal that we have. And don't worry, it won't even cost you a cent. In fact, we're paying you to take this deal. It's so good. Okay, what's the catch? No catch. All you need to do is sign a 24-month contract. And you're like, but you never hear from them again, right? You don't want to become we're not trying to make converts in a sense of, hey, you're a target, now we've got you, now we leave you, now we focus on the next. Once you invite people in, you have to build relationship with people. Because relationship is the glue that holds the church together. Our lives grow at the speed of our relationships. If we have unhealthy relationships, we have limited success and fruitfulness in life. And in fact, Jesus measures the fruitfulness of what we do by the quality of the relationships we have. And so Jesus also himself didn't say, come on, Peter, come and follow me, and then never talk to Peter, except when he wanted him to do something. Like, that's terrible. Like, at some point, someone's going to say, hey, could you do this? And that part of being on a team is like, okay, I'm going to carry that load, I'm going to do that. But when we form people into smaller groups, relationships become the key, because then it's not so much about what I'm doing, it's about I'm connected to people, and in that we're doing something together, right? John Maxwell said this. He said that people don't care what you do until they know how much you care, right? So we want to be able to give people our heart and then ask them for their hands, in a sense. Does this make sense? So we want to be able to invite people into our personal world. That's why we want people to form into groups, because you cannot build a personal relationship with 200 people. Our church at some point became too big for me to know anybody, to know everybody, not anybody. I'm just isolated. To know everybody. Our church has become too big to know. At some point, I don't know when it happened. I think it was around 150 people, I stopped being able to know everybody that was here on a Sunday and know everybody in every single group. I used to have braais with many, many people. We used to have lots of people over. And I feel so bad because I remember people that I had a braai with 7 years ago that I haven't seen outside of church life since then. But they're still part of our church. It's not because we don't care about them. It's because they've got other relationships now. And that's okay. And so why we want people in teams and in groups is not just to get a job done, it's to connect people relationally so that we can help them to grow. And so some things on relationship is that relationship is the foundation of influence because relationship builds trust. If people don't trust us as leaders, they're never going to take our advice. You might say to someone, look, you really need to start X, Y, and Z if you want to grow. But if they think you've got an ulterior motive, they're not going to do it, even if it is for their own good. And so when we build relationship, it builds trust. It gives change in our pocket. Make more deposits into their future than into yours. Give more than you ask, right? So let's build relationships. The way that we can build relationships is to serve people well. When people come into our groups or are part of our team, let's serve them. Let's make sure that their needs are met. Let's be there for them. Being a shepherd is being there, right? There's a saying that shepherds smell like sheep because they sleep with the sheep. They're with the sheep. They're with them all day. And so there's a thing about therness. If something, and this is what our life groups do really, really well, is that when someone's going through crisis, the leaders are there. Right? It can't happen across all areas of the church, but in groups, it's beautiful to see that happen. Look for opportunities to connect. Let's not just wait for life group to connect with people. Like shoot people a text, shoot people a voice note. I mean, there's so many ways you can actually connect with people. I mean, heaven forbid, make a phone call. You know, it's like crazy. So just connect with people, find ways outside, because that means, I'm not just valuable to you when you need something from me. I'm valuable to you. You're thinking about me. You're praying for me. Have fun. John Maxwell actually writes about low permission and high permission, where everybody starts at a certain level with influence with somebody else. And the way that you serve and love and take care of them gives you greater permission to say, hey, now let's go on the journey together. Why don't you try this and try that? And then they're more willing to do it. We don't want leaders who are going to say, you've got to do this and you've got to do that, because that's a dictatorship. We want to say, hey, we love you, we serve you. Now come and join us on an incredible journey, right? And this is a process that's continually ongoing. And by the way, each level builds on the next. So now that you're building a relationship, doesn't mean you stop inviting people, because people will still leave. This is the thing. So then we go into a process of actually equipping people. Now we're building relationship. Awesome. Now people are open to hear what we have to say to them. Actually train them. We do a lot of on-the-job training at church, where when you join a team, okay, this is how you operate a camera. This is where you point the camera. If people's ears start bleeding, the sound's a little bit too loud, right? Let's pull it back a little bit. Okay, this is how you make a latte. This is how you actually say hello to people when they come into the car park. Like, you don't lean against the wall and go, sup. No, you face people, you look them in the eye. When they step into within like 5 meters of you, you go, welcome, it's so good to see you, Wi-Fi, We give on-the-job training, and people will hear that because we love them, and we serve them, and we help them, and we want to help them to get better. Excellence is doing the best with what we can, but if people don't know what to do, they're going to do whatever seems right to them. And when we help them to step out and go, hey, this is how you greet somebody, maybe that's the way to get an introvert to actually build a relationship with somebody else. Just eye contact. Those things make a difference in people's lives and in people's worlds. And in those groups, how amazing is it if you've got somebody there who's actually going through something difficult before you serve or before group? What an opportunity to pray for them. So you can still do ministry in all of this and help people and teach them to pray. Teach them what you know. Andy Stanley says this, it's not my responsibility to fill your cup. It's my responsibility to empty mine. So I can't teach you everything you need to know, but I can teach you everything that I know. Right? Just think about that. Sometimes we don't train people because we think, oh, we don't have the level of knowledge that's required to help them with their marriage or to help them with their area of service or to help them how to read the Bible. You don't have to worry about filling their cup. You just have to empty yours. That's the life of pouring it out in front of people, right? And that's the way that people can grow and people can train. Read a book together, go on a course together, learn the cultures and the values of our house. And even in that, you might even find somebody, like today I met with somebody and they're like, hey, Sven, what do you do in your marriage with this, and this? And it's an opportunity to actually share them and to equip them in something other than just service or something other than just curriculum, but an area of life. And if you don't know the answer, perfect. Just say, I don't know, but I can get back to you at some point. And then as quickly as possible, get to the leader who's oversees you and like, hey, I need some help with this, right? There's a way that we can help to equip people, to train them and develop them. And something that I'm learning more and more is that equipping is actually like a train. It runs on 2 tracks. It's a track of training, of information, but it's also the development track, which is all relationship, where you actually deal with people's character. Oh, you were late for your serving. Oh, no, we don't do that here because it disrespects people. Oh, okay. Because that's a character issue, right? Yeah. When we greet people, we actually face them, we look them in the eye, we don't turn our back to them because that's a character issue. It shows respect. When we want to, I know I'm using a lot of serving analogies, but please just use it to whatever team is relevant. Like when we send people, if people, hey, where's the bathroom? You go, let me show you, but don't worry, I won't come in. Just be able to show people and do things like that that can help people to grow in their character areas. You said you were going to be at the team, but you didn't let us know that you weren't coming. You didn't swap out. Oh, man, is everything okay? Can I pray for you? Oh, everything is okay. You just overstepped? Okay, well, maybe just next time let us know. Just things like that helps to train people in areas of character because Jesus doesn't use people who are gifted. The church isn't built on those who are gifted. The church is built on those with character, with the right heart, who will not, like what was that? It was the parable of the talents where Jesus taught about when the master gave out certain finances to different people, the one person buried it in the ground and the other 2 multiplied it. If we don't train and help people in their character development, they're just going to keep burying things, burying their gift instead of multiplying their gift. Does that make sense? I'm assuming everybody online is like, amen. Just do an emoji of some sort. That'll help. Okay, let me move on. The next thing is to empower people. Now, this is where the training wheels actually come off and people have to fall. It's actually say, I'm giving you the power to actually do this. I'm giving you the power to run that. I'm giving you the power to actually lead our frontline team. I'm giving you the power to go and lead this life group. Our groups will continue to grow if we equip people how to lead. We give them relationship and then we go, okay, bon voyage. But we stay connected with you, right? We want to empower you. Because a lot of people, it's funny, people don't think they can until they do. And so we just want to go, it's time. It's almost like when Jesus said to his disciples, okay, group up in pairs and then go preach the gospel and cast out demons and heal the sick. Okay. Well, I guess we've seen you do it, Jesus. Let's give this a go. And then they came back and they, wow, Jesus, that was amazing. We cast out demons in your name. And Jesus said, well done. But don't rejoice because the demons have been cast out. Rejoice because your names are written in the book of heaven, right? Like, so he was able to coach them. But it's amazing once people go, wow, I didn't know I could do it. And they come back and they're all on fire. And that's the joy of the Christian life, the Christian journey, right? Helping people to get to that point. So it's actually to delegate. Don't be the person who has to do everything. When you're a leader, you actually have to do less. Leaders aren't the people who do all the jobs. Like if you're a life group leader and you're doing the the roster, you're doing all the messages, the emails, you're doing all the teachings. You're actually not leading. You're doing. And we want to give the doing to other people. So what a leader looks like is to go, you know what? You just seem to have this hospitality thing about you. Okay, you're going to organize the meals from now on. And let them do with that job. You're going to do the roster. You're going to do the teaching. And then afterwards, you can go, okay, cool. This is where I would improve. This is what I would do. And that takes you to the 5th level, which is coaching, where you've actually got other people doing the roles. And now they're trying to find other people to fulfill those roles. And then they can go on to lead further. And it's amazing. The further you go through this process, the more the church is built, because people are becoming healthier. People are becoming stronger. People are getting more rooted into the life of the church, which means when they go through troubles and difficulties, when the enemy wants to sift them as wheat, they are so rooted in healthy soil that they've got people around them who can pray with them, believe them, help them, guide them, all these kinds of things. And as the church gets built like that, it might be slow, but it's certainly healthy. We don't want to look big on the outside, but be shallow on the inside. We want to be bigger on the inside than we are on the outside. And so this is often an area where I actually struggle with. I actually struggle with coaching because I'm good at the empowering part. I'm good at everything until coaching. So I'll be like, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this. And then I'm like, you're just doing great. And I actually forget to come around and go, hey, the way you did that was good, but I don't like how you did this. Right? Just to be candid and open and honest with people. But if you've got relationship, you can actually tell people difficult news and they won't hate you for it. But just make sure you're celebrating people's wins. Oh, the way that you saw that paper lying on the floor and you picked it up so that a new person wouldn't think we're in a completely untidy church. I love that. Well done. Not just going, you walk, just finding the things to nitpick on. So feedback, celebrate wins, learn from mistakes, and align the team to the vision of the church. Like as leaders, we always got to help people. We're trying to fulfill the vision of the church. We're trying to build the church. And so we want to, in coaching, continually to improve people. You know, the greatest golfers in the world have coaches who never played at the level that, Tiger Woods has a coach. Like, the greatest tennis players in the world, they've got coaches. Great actors have acting coaches. Dancers have dancing coaches. Leaders need leadership coaches as well. We need people to help us to improve. So be the coach for other people. Now, this is where we sometimes get stuck, and there's a pitfall at this point because we love the people that we lead so much. And that's why you're leaders. Shepherds actually love sheep. So they lay their lives down for their people. And so we get into this circular movement where we go, okay, let's keep building relationship. Let's keep equipping. Let's keep empowering. Let's keep coaching. Let's keep relationship. Let's keep coaching. Let's keep empowering. Let's keep equipping. And we forget to invite people. It's like the life groups who go, okay, cool. We're all together in this. It's the serving teams who, we love each other's company. We do so well. But we forget that maybe somebody else, like there was somebody else who also never did this before. Like you got invited into this. And it's not because we are being mean. We just forget. We just forget that it takes an invitation to keep. Otherwise, we become reservoirs. Puddles of water. What happens in puddles? Things grow in puddles. They do. But in rivers of living water, freshness is always flowing in. If people stop getting saved in this church will die. It's the nature of life. If new babies aren't being born, the human race will die. It's the same thing in the kingdom. It's the same thing with the church. It's the same thing with life groups. It's the same thing with teams. We have to keep on inviting people. And so the way that looks like is on a Sunday or whatever, when you're speaking to the 3 friends that you know so well, and I love that, please keep doing that, but just to open yourself up a little bit to notice somebody who's maybe there for the first time, or notice somebody who always seems to be by themselves, then you can go, actually, I want to invite them into our friendship circle. I want to invite them into a relationship with somebody else so that we can continue to keep building. Is this helping so far? Is that all right? Okay, so the 5 things again is to invite people in, to build relationship, to equip them, to empower them, and to keep coaching. And then to repeat the process. Invite, relationship, equipping. Invites people into participation. But you can invite people into next steps. We've just started a brand new course called Following Jesus. It's a free course. Anybody can do it. You can actually invite people into that process in your groups or in your teams. Go, hey, do you know what it is like to follow Jesus? And they go, I've been following Jesus for 20 years. Well, then that's cool. But maybe someone goes, actually, you know what? I've been too shy to ask. Well, let me invite you to participate in this. And I'll go through it with you, right? To help people to participate.